The hypothetical coaching search for the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals begins today.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello. Welcome in. Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Free and available on all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Football GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM and managing your football franchise? Then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game. Took a 2-day hiatus. Was feeling a little bit under the weather. The last couple of weeks of this season leading up to the ultimate final game, which could potentially be Kliff Kingsbury's last game as head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, has been clunky. It's been fun at times to watch players who wouldn't necessarily get run. But it's kind of just been exactly what we've seen since the end of last season. Uneasiness, clunkiness, just kind of a yuck feeling. And it's tough. I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for the players. I feel bad for the coaches. I feel bad for Kliff Kingsbury. I feel bad for Michael Bidwell. I feel bad for Steve Keim. These guys are, human beings. And it's something that is coming to a head. It's at a head. It's the eye of the storm is here. The calm before the storm. I don't know if you saw the day after tomorrow was when, the huge, massive, whatever ice thing that was happening. You're in the eye, everything's calm, and then the floodgates open. We're in the eye where it's calm. And come 5 days from now, the Arizona Cardinals may be cleaning house. The head coach and front office. Maybe. If you listen to one of my last podcasts last week, I talked about how there's still probably a 10 or 15% chance of Steve Keim and Kliff Kingsbury come back. But today's podcast is solely for those who are wondering who would be the next good fit for head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And there are some names that are out there, and there's one name that's not, that I'm already writing down in pen as the leader in the clubhouse for who should be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to start with one who I don't think should be. The second segment, I'll talk about who is the odds-on favorite to be according to some sports books. And the third segment, you're going to have to hang with me, for who I absolutely think should be the next coach of the Arizona Cardinals. 100%, no doubt about it. And no, it's not Sean Payton. First, who should not be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals? Jim Harbaugh. And there's a couple reasons why. Sure, you look at the record, great record in college, great record in the NFL. Absolutely. Jim Harbaugh hasn't won a game during bowl season since 2015. Okay, made it to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. The lights went out. They were down bad at halftime. They came all the way back and were a play away from winning the Super Bowl late in that game. But Jim Harbaugh in college hasn't won a bowl game since 2015. That's jarring to me. They've lost 3 games in the last 2 years. Hasn't won a bowl game since 2015. Well, Alex, bowl games don't matter. Sure, the playoff that just happened, it was a one possession game. There is no reason why Michigan should lose to TCU. There's just not. Coaching when it counts. You could say he's the Peyton Manning of coaches before Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. Now, there are some positives, 100% positives, which are the antithesis of what we've witnessed with Kliff Kingsbury. One, there is no question about who the leader of that coaching staff and team is. It's Jim Harbaugh. And yes, players are way more infused to that in professional ranks than in college. But Jim Harbaugh is a solidified, stable leader, even though he wears khakis too much. That's one positive from Jim Harbaugh. 2, he's a winner. He's a regular season winner. He's made a Super Bowl. Probably should have won that Super Bowl if they didn't take the whole first half off against Baltimore. He's a winner. He resurrected Alex Smith's career. So if you want to be like, okay, so he comes in, he caters the playbook to Kyler Murray and watches him thrive, it's a positive. I get it. It's a positive. He's not Pete Carroll coaching the Jets or Pete Carroll coaching the Patriots or Nick Saban having a cup of coffee with Miami. It's different. He's been here. But he doesn't win when it counts. He doesn't. Look at the numbers. He doesn't win when it counts. Yes, well, it's the players. It's not him. It's the players. He doesn't have the players. It's a tough school to get into. He doesn't win when it counts. And if you're going to have a hard reset, Control-Alt-Delete on the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff and front office, you better get this right. And Jim Harbaugh, although having a great, not even a good, a great win-loss record, has not won a bowl game since 2015. That's all I need to see. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. I do not think the Arizona Cardinals should hire Jim Harbaugh as their next head coach if Kliff Kingsbury were to be fired for that reason. Who would I be lukewarm about if the Arizona Cardinals hired him? Sean Payton, up next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Ultimate Football GM, man. I'm always geeked to talk about them. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Ultimate Football GM. Okay? Ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM and managing your football franchise? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. Listen, you're responsible for hiring the right coaches and coordinators, trading players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency and the draft, and all the ups and downs of a season. And this is a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and where and when you want to. Locked On Cardinals listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game store. That's Locked On in all caps, so make sure to check it out today. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the App Store. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. Jim Harbaugh, fantastic regular season win-loss record. Has not won a bowl game since 2015. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. A coach that I would be lukewarm about if Kliff Kingsbury were to be fired and the Cardinals were to hire is Sean Payton. And this one has a little bit more weight on both sides of the pendulum here, the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. The pros, he's won a Super Bowl. He elevated Drew Brees from San Diego Chargers Drew Brees to Drew Brees. And sure, some of that came with the maturity of Drew Brees and the offensive makeup of the team, the framework, everything like that. I understand that, but Sean Payton has had many losing seasons with Drew Brees. They won the Super Bowl, absolutely. Fantastic. You could say against the Rams, one of the most egregious no calls in the history of football, in the history of sport since its inception. But they did go to overtime and ended up losing. Drew Brees, I believe, threw an interception in that game. It was tipped, something like that. Sean Payton has that Bill Cowher vibe, and not because I'm comparing coaching styles, but the longer somebody's out of the coaching circle, the more attractive they become for open positions. Bill Cowher was top of the list after he retired from coaching for like 5 or 6 years. He did win a Super Bowl as well in Pittsburgh. And he was, he's a bulldog. He's not, Sean Payton's a little bit more, like Sean Payton gets heated, but he's way more close to Kliff Kingsbury demeanor than Bill Cowher. But he commands respect. He commands a locker room. He's got the pedigree. He's coached for a long time. I just don't think that he's the guy to change the Arizona Cardinals organization. I don't. And this one's close. If they hired Sean Payton and gave him the keys to the castle, okay, whatever. Could be a lot worse. Like, would I be upset if they hired Sean Payton? No. This is splitting hairs. But if we're truly etch-a-sketching this, shaking it for the future of the Arizona Cardinals, and you could start drawing whatever, I was terrible at those things. How do you etch-a-sketch and make some sort of work of art? I don't understand it. Shake, 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 make a flower. That looks stupid. Shake, shake, shake. So if the Cardinals want to etch-a-sketch this once, if they want to tabula rasa it once and start completely fresh, I don't think Sean Payton's the guy. I think that having an offensive-minded head coach, calling the plays, being the head coach, it's starting to become more and more passé. And, there are exceptions to the rule, obviously. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, he's there. Andy Reid calls plays, but Eric Bieniemy's there. Like, what? One of the dumbest questions people ask, well, what's Eric Bieniemy's job? If Andy Reid calls the majority of the plays, stop it. If you think that Eric Bieniemy is not well equipped to be a head coach with what he's done with Patrick Mahomes in unison with Andy Reid, stop it. But I feel like we're starting to see, and the NFL is very cyclical. Like anything is very cyclical. It used to be run the ball, play defense, win Super Bowls. Ben Roethlisberger threw 14 passes in his first Super Bowl win. Run the ball, play defense, control the clock, win Super Bowls. That's what it used to be. And now it's score 50 points, who can outscore the other team. But I feel like the recipe for success for the future is having more of a defensive-minded head coach with a powerhouse offensive mind calling the plays, in my opinion. So with that, that's my closing argument on why Sean Payton probably isn't the best fit for the Cardinals. Now, there's a lot of questions like, well, would he ever want to come here? He loves Kyler Murray. Okay? The Arizona Cardinals come 2023 are going to be the Arizona Cardinals in name only. You're going to hear me say choose your own adventure a lot. You're going to hear me say tabula rasa, clean slate a lot. The Arizona Cardinals, if they do move on from Steve Keim and Kliff Kingsbury, are going to be the Arizona Cardinals in name only. The last decade, which is what the foundation of the reputation that the Arizona Cardinals have had that people think of now, is going to be non-existent. It's going to be null. It's going to be removed from the future. And that's something that is incredibly exciting. But Michael Bidwell needs to be incredibly meticulous about what he does next. Because there is zero excuse on making the wrong decision. And although Sean Payton has the pedigree, Sean Payton has the ability to elevate a quarterback who's not 6'5" to greatness, is not what the Arizona Cardinals need for their culture. And what I mean by culture is to have teeth, to be feared. And there is one entity in the NFL that is feared, in my opinion, more than any other entity when it's on the field in 2022. And that's the San Francisco 49ers defense. Who's leading the San Francisco 49ers defense? the man who I hope to be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals in Demeco Ryans. And I'm going to explain why in detail next. You can follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I enjoy doing this, and thank you very much for being a part of it with me. Demeco Ryans, I'm hoping, will be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I'll explain more in depth as we roll on. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. I get to talk about my friends over at LinkedIn. I talk a lot about LinkedIn and how it's really like when I was younger and I was actively looking for jobs constantly, it was helping shape my future, getting interviews, going through screening questions and things like that. And if you are looking for employees, LinkedIn Jobs has you covered. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And also, you know I love going local here. You know I love it. And I love to talk about my friends at My Solar Nerd. Going solar should be an easy transition. A lot of times, there are companies that will reach out and offer you free solar. Truth is that many of these companies aren't local, and because of that, they're using misleading tactics and end up overcharging homeowners. My Solar Nerd aren't like that. They're local. They help you get the best solar system to fit your needs. They understand the nuances of going solar in Arizona, and they've been doing this for a while and understand that an educated customer is a happy one. Their no-pressure approach will make sure all your questions get answered. And they firmly believe that if you live in Arizona, switching to solar should mean saving money. And once you're ready, they'll put their industry knowledge to work for you by choosing the best equipment, warranties, and Better Business Bureau accredited installers. Our listeners will get a $50 Amazon gift card when they book a no-commitment evaluation, and this promotion is only for our listeners that are homeowners, so keep that in mind. Visit mysolarnerd.com. It's like locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box. And, you know, that's how you show them some love. Show us some love by letting them know we sent you. Folks, going solar doesn't need to be complicated. MySolarNerd.com makes it easy. Arizona Cardinals should 100% hire Demeco Ryans as their next head coach and hire an offensive coordinator to run a new offense for this team. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. If you missed the first two segments, you're just popping in now. I say nay on Jim Harbaugh. Great regular season record, great leader, hasn't won a bowl game since 2015. I say nay, even though it's close, on Sean Payton. The Arizona Cardinals need a different persona than having a strength in offense and defense is kind of an afterthought. The Arizona Cardinals need to be feared. And if you're starting a new organization with Kliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim gone, and you're able to choose what your future looks like, I think the future should be Demeco Ryans at the helm. And there's a couple reasons why. First, even off the field, okay? He played football until 2015. So, Demeco Ryans was on the field during this shift into an offensive-heavy scheme. He's been here. He's played in the last 10 years, okay? And that's important because with this influx, and, you know, I move to the NBA sometimes because it's just, the comparisons are there now. Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, guys that and Steve Nash isn't the best example, but there are guys who have played within the last decade that are now head coaches. They get the game. And what Demeco Ryans has is he not only gets the game, but he got hired by a stable organization in 2017, and he's been there all the way through with the 49ers. And he went from quality coach to inside linebacker coach to defensive coordinator. Where have most of the draft capital gone? Has most of the draft capital gone since 2017 with the Arizona Cardinals in the first round? Inside linebacker. Interesting. Number one. That's like an ancillary piece of this. What the Arizona Cardinals are severely lacking is leadership. What the Arizona Cardinals are severely lacking is stability. What the Arizona Cardinals are severely lacking is opposing teams fearing them. And the most fearsome, fear-inducing, nailed it, entity, in my opinion, in 2022 is the San Francisco 49ers defense. What they've been able to do, winning all of these games, with Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, and now Brock Purdy, that defense is the strength of that team that is the springboard for everything else. And that defense is feared. And that defense is run as close to flawlessly as possible. And sure, players come into play. That was one of the knocks on Robert Saleh where he went over to the Jets. It's like, you ain't got that defense over there, Bobby. But look at what he's done. It's not about the talent always. It's about elevating the talent. And Vance Joseph has done as good of a job as he could have with the talent that the Arizona Cardinals have had on defense. If Demeco Ryans comes in here, people are not going to look at the Arizona Cardinals uniform. They're not going to look at the Arizona Cardinals logo. They're not going to look at the all-time win-loss record of the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to look at, I want to go play for Demeco Ryans. I want to go play for Demeco Ryans. And that would go for both sides of the ball. Sean Payton, probably only on the offensive side of the ball. And I know that Sean Payton is going to bring in this brain trust of former head coaches to come in and just overload. And I understand that is super, super intriguing. But Demeco Ryans at the helm would immediately be impactful for the future of this organization. And while you could say that about Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton, because it's not Kliff Kingsbury and not Steve Keim, I'm much more in the camp of a head coach being a head coach, a GM being a GM, and coordinators being coordinators. I don't know if I want to give Sean Payton all the control. And on top of that, you're going to have to trade for him. The Cardinals need draft capital. They need players. And yes, Sean Payton's probably worth a first or a second this year and a first next year, something like that. I'm hiring Demeco Ryans 100 times out of 100 over the other two. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. I'll talk to you for Crossover Thursday, oddly enough, with Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker from the 49ers, who I'm going to ask about Demeco Ryans in depth. Locked on Cardinals. You heard it here first. Demeco Ryans should be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Crossover Thursday.